Hello and welcome from the Allotment in the Field. It's a lovely warm spring May evening this weekend and we've been working pretty hard. So this is the week when we do normally our allotment tour, and let me just show you what happened within the last month. So let me start with the Polytunnel. We had to do some adjustments to the Polytunnel because it was a bit crooked. So here we are. Some of the strawberries obviously loving here because the fruit is setting quite nicely on quite a few of the plants. I think we will need to shortly give those tomatoes some support. Well, these tomatoes, which were not very well, still not very well, I think I will replace them. I've got plenty of. And I will be planting tomorrow this trough with the tomatoes which we're going to keep here in a Polytunnel. Now let's have a look at the broad beans. It was lovely. It was actually lovely last month, but just to show you from afar how lovely the crimson flower is, and masterpiece green. At the moment these are my two favorites, and this one is Carmazin and Grano Violetto. They're not performing as well as the others. I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed with Carmazin because it performed for me very well last year. There's not much flowers on them now, but they are the only one which already have pods. So that will be really interesting to see what we think eventually when we have the harvest. You can see Nigel finished his trap for the bees just in case they swarmed. So that is now in place. Very pleased about that. And let me just go with my son behind, otherwise I don't think we see anything. So we've got some peas here, and that is one lot of peas, and we also have some peas which is starting flowering here. So I think this one is mange tout and this one is a normal pea. If I find the varieties on them, I will let you know what they were. This is the late planted onions. They seem to be okay. We had to remove quite a lot of lettuces today, but we still have plenty of lettuce to harvest. There's some rocket which probably will flower soon as well, so we need to eat up those. There is some brown fennel which I planted this year, and it's going okay. I wasn't sure if this is going to actually take. It was treated fairly roughly. Removed all the old cabbages which didn't perform very well, and there is a little bit more the garlic. I know this is a bit of a no-no, but let's see how that all works. Well, the flower bed have gone slightly crazy, which I love every time. So we've got the alliums, and these are self-sown, obviously oxeye daisies, which I tried to remove from the bed. There is a little patch there, and I'm keeping them flowering outside, and once they finish I will be moving them elsewhere. And now I can see that, as you can see, the dahlias, some of the dahlias are coming back. I'm going to be planting some cosmos here and some zinnias. Probably that will happen within the next couple of days. There's even self-sown foxglove. Now these came beautifully. These are verbascum, and these are the kind of sort of dusky pink verbascum, and these are the yellow verbascum which flower later on, which is lovely to have a succession of flowering verbascums here in this corner. More irises, and once these alliums finish, I will be planting more annuals. Now the big job, especially my mom helped with that, all kudos to her. We've planted our outdoor tomatoes. I know they're fairly small, but I think once they are in a bigger space, they just go, from strength to strength. And these are the Crimson Crush and some French marigolds amongst them. So that used to be broccoli. And here we've got soft neck garlics. I mean, some are better than others. I mean, this variety is not great, but this one is quite good, and I will be harvesting them for green garlic, and whatever we don't eat will go into sort of larger sort of bulbs. Some of this earlier planted onion is actually bolting. As you can see, look, there's signs of flowers, and I take them out as we go along. That will leave me space for planting something else. Some of them are perfectly bulbing, so it's a bit of a potluck with that. Look at the raspberries. It's just a sea of raspberries, and they also have the new growth for next year, so I'm expecting a bumper crop. Unless something horrible happens, I'm expecting a bumper crop of them. Now here in a soft fruit bed, again I'm expecting a bumper crop of all kind of currants and gooseberries. Even the tiny gooseberry I bought from Lidl last year, that's got fruit. I've got 4 gooseberries here. Every single one is looking fantastic. I haven't netted it yet. I will soon. I'm expecting to buy some lavender next week. There is an offer on lavender, and I will need to plant that while not netted. I've no idea where this grass came from amongst my very lovely lavender, which my bees absolutely love, so that's not sorting out. But generally, even the Rosamunda on the back there has buds on it already. So this is the heartneck garlic, and was planted very late, so that will be in for a while. And this is some more onions, and I can see self-seeded Swiss chard in there. So I suppose just one more thing before I leave this area is the blueberries. You can see that these flowers are going to come into flourishing very soon, and the blueberries are flowering, but I have a feeling that these will probably come to nothing, these two, but the ones on the back we might have few fruit. So that's quite thorough sort of overview of this area. And as we're coming out, let me just show you. So that's the blackberry coming along really nicely, and that is the loganberry and tieberry doing really well. These are the potatoes, which as obviously they come across as we go along. So these are the Sharpies Express and Swift coming across, coming from under the hay now, and the other two varieties, Charlotte and Pink Fir Apple, not yet showing, excepting maybe on the other end. We've managed to clear up. The big job this weekend is to clear up all the stinging nettles. So this will be planted, and I know I was planning to plant here Salsify and Scorzonera. I might still do some of that, but I want to plant some Yacon because it's ready to be planted. Yacon and Oka here as well. Just look at those lovely pears. They all setting. The fruit is really setting this year. We had absolutely not a single bit of fruit last year, but we have some fruit on these this year. So that's very exciting. So in this higher bed we have, let me see if we can see anything through that. We've got Brussels sprouts and flower sprouts and purple sprouting broccoli. And here, well, we have quite a lot of Jerusalem artichokes just coming across. You can see some of them. I mean, not every single one you can see, but these are here and they're popping out. So that's exciting. So far, no sign of my beans. I will need to address the stinging nettles again. This is like a constant battle, and I don't mind that. We don't mind stinging nettles. These serve a purpose as well. So let me just walk here by the potatoes and have a look at you see this apple is still flowering, so I have a feeling there might be a couple of apples on that later on. Now, asparagus beds. This is again job for the next couple of days. Look at those fantastic ferns. For a while our favorite pastime every time we came here was to count how many of the 30 asparagus heads managed to survive, and I'm pleased to say that I planted them last year in April, and we have all 30 came back this year, but we have fenced it off for preventing rabbits and munkjugs eating them, and now we have to it's quite a bit of a job to unfence it and be able to actually weed. So that is going to happen shortly. So this is a bed, another brassica bed, slightly shorter brassica bed. And we also have here some pak choi, which I will be actually harvesting tomorrow for some ramen. And radicchio is starting forming heads, very small still. And we've got white and red cabbage. Well, these are fantastic looking. Now, because in all these beds on this side we had potatoes last year, I have so many volunteer potatoes. Nothing on this side, but here it's been quite a spread, and so is in here with my artichokes. Still to harvest some leeks, but look, the potatoes are basically everywhere. Some spinach to harvest before it goes into flower. And potatoes everywhere. Some more spinach just planted. I mean, some of these artichokes are not that big yet, so we'll see how much space. Probably next year we won't be able to plant anything in this bed. And here we have the lovely crimson tree spinach, and that's doing okay. And I planted some Swiss chard and it's not doing all that good at all. So this is the next to be cleared. This is the remnants of the, and look how lovely it looks in full flower. This is this purple sprouting broccoli in another bed, which we've been harvesting forever. And this bed requires some weeding, the shallot bed, but also, you know, amongst those weeds we have masses again of potatoes. So this year I will have to be very, very careful to make sure all potatoes have actually been removed. So we've got some sweet peas coming up. It's been a bit of a ordeal with that, because sweet peas like water and we had absolutely no water. And this is the flower bed. So that's wallflowers and some beautiful alliums. Tulips unfortunately are gone, and the dahlias are coming up, popping up. So this is the herb bed, and what I have here at the moment, so I will try to rein in, but I've got some poppies coming along here, and the cabbage, the sort of, what is it called? It's a perennial cabbage. I put the name on the top, and look how lovely the salvia looks, and the thyme is loving it, and also the rosemary I've got in a couple of places. But also amongst all of this, and despite of that harsh conditions, we do have some dill popping along. I will try to make sure that the poppies do not sow seeds. I've got masses of poppies here which I actually never sown, so obviously they're coming from somewhere. And last year's nasturtiums are also coming along nicely, so lots of new things happening in those beds. I mean, the dahlias are coming as well, so we will see how they fill in. I've got loads of cosmos, loads of other annuals which I could put in them. So the only bed of disgrace I would say at the moment is still the strawberry bed, which we haven't done nothing. It's just not enough hours in the day. But what is lovely is look how that all greened up. This is just passing past the sort of bigger area of the beds in the allotment on the way to the greenhouse. And we obviously have some hazel which we did coppice and we will be coppicing, and is a proper sun trap, but the edges of it are absolutely fantastic and teeming with wildflowers, and we try to not to eradicate them all. We try to sort of incorporate them to some extent into the allotment. So Nigel does use the scythe, and from time to time, as you can see here, it was a little bit too high. Before they go to seeds, they will be cut down. And well, this is a bit of a rhubarb forest now. Look at the size of the leaves. We will be harvesting some of that. We were just too tired today to make anything rhubarb, so I didn't harvest any, but I was going to. In my cold frame, we're actually not closing it anymore for the night. These are cutting celery and celeriac, the bigger plants here. This is oca and some nasturtiums and some French marigolds still to be planted. Next week we will be planting out in this bed we will be planting corn and courgettes. These are my lovely yacon, which will be planted out tomorrow, and some purple basil. We'll plant that with tomatoes and so on. We did little very disappointing checking on the first sweet potatoes, and we've been actually in for almost 3 months, but they did get frosted and they restarted, and you know, I have to say we need to wait for another couple of weeks for these potatoes to actually mature, so we won't be harvesting anymore. We have moved now all the dahlias, well, most of the dahlias here, and Nigel planted some very interesting looking dogwood along here to give us a little bit of privacy, because there is a house across the stream and it's overlooking us directly. And these are the dahlias, which are of reasonable size now, so they came out here. And I did check this morning the yellow raspberries mainly did start to come back, so most of them will be fine. There's a little bit of horseradish in this bucket. We're not doing particular watering or anything. It's a little bit of space. We are going to be putting the cage for the squashes this end of this month, so that's sort of is happening as well. And obviously try to get any access to this area, because once the stinging nettles are out, it's almost impenetrable. So the greenhouse, some reorganization happened this weekend, but not maybe enough. We've planted all the with my mum's help, actually. We were all at it, me and her, and Nigel was helping as well, bringing compost and so on. So these are the peppers which I bought in, which are all planted and in position to actually where they're going to be growing during the summer. You see, this is how much cosmos I still have, and these are the tomatoes I'm going to be repotting and putting into the polytunnel, because that's when they're going to be grown, except for few which I will take to my office and for others to enjoy. So we've got some bantam and swift corn just sprouting here, and I do have some which should go, which is the double red heritage one, which should go. Some other things I still planted, I still sown really, and sunflowers should start going out as well. And this is all my cucurbits. That will be again sorted the following week, what is going where and so on, once I make a little bit of space and ahead with the sweet corn and tomatoes. The next job will be that, and also bringing the aubergines and putting them in a permanent position. So we've got loads of space underneath here at the moment, and still a little bit of a mess to sort out, but it's looking much more sort of organized than it did before. The greenhouse is partially shady till about midday, and then it gets warmer, so probably a good location for it, because we don't want everything to get scorched. So I've got lots of spare frames for the honey. We've been at it building those, because once you need them, you really need them. And just to show you that the hives are all in place, a little bit overgrown, but I've got some oxide daisies here which I sown last year, and some other sort of flowers, but I think oxydaisies have taken the most. The rest of it is sort of less prominent here. So once they stop flowering, we need to just clear in front of the hive so the bees have easier landing. So we've got 2 of the hives which should have, the second one should be queen right, and I will be checking that within the next couple of days. This one always was queen right, it's just very small hive, and hopefully that one they making a queen, so I'm not going to be opening that for a week or so, maybe 2, depending on what I see, what kind of activity they do. But actually these have some honey. I should have already harvested, and this is again next week's job. So I'm gonna go and find Nigel, because I would like to say goodbye with him, because he's been doing quite a lot of work and he is busy. Oh, here he is, watering something. So let me just find him.
Well, that's it. Saturday evening, beautiful summer's day in May. Had half the family down here working today, and Margosha's mum especially has been doing masses. So hopefully I can go home and have a glass of something, and that'll be it for the day. And tomorrow it's supposed to rain.
Wow.
Margosha's going to have a birthday, so we might have a day off. So
we are having a day off.
So it's
almost.
Goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. And I hope to see you next week. And thank you for watching. And thank you if you subscribed or you continue to subscribe. That is really very much appreciated. Thank you.
Take care.